Quiet, numbskulls. I'm broadcasting.
All right, let's take it from the top again. Places. Action.
Well, let's see. We have on the bags, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know is on third.
That's what I want to find out.
I say who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
Are you the manager?
Yes.
You going to be the coach, too?
Yes.
And you know the fellow's name?
Well, I should.
Well, then who's on first?
Yes.
I mean the fellow's name.
Who?
The guy on first.
Who?
The first baseman.
Who?
The guy playing first.
Who is on first?
I'm asking you who's on first.
That's the man's name.
That's whose name?
Yes.
Well, go ahead and tell me.
That's it.
That's who?
Yes.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another Classic Radio Rewind podcast. I'm your host, Barry Slinker, and we have a great hour lined up. Classic Radio Rewind is brought to you by the WOTR Radio Network, and you can check out our website, WOTRradionetwork.com, to check out our 4 live streaming old-time radio stations, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Coming up later, we're going to hear from the masked man himself, the Lone Ranger from 1941. But we're going to lead off with the Burns and Allen Show starring George Burns and Gracie Allen. Gracie is worried that George will be upset with her when she shows him the Christmas bills. From January 9th, 1947, this is the Burns and Allen Show with last year's Christmas bills. It's Classic Radio Rewind episode number 56 coming your way right now.
Another cup of Maxwell House coffee, George?
Sure, pour me a cup, Gracie.
You know, Maxwell House is always good to the last drop.
That drop's good, too.
Yes, it's Maxwell House Coffee Time, starring George Burns and Gracie Allen. With yours truly, Bill Goodwin, the music of Meredith Wilson and his orchestra, Gail Gordon, and our happy postman, Mel Blanc. For your Thursday night comedy enjoyment, it's George and Gracie. And for your everyday coffee drinking enjoyment, it's Maxwell House. The coffee that gives you so much more for so little more that it's bought and enjoyed by more people than any other brand of coffee in the world. Yes, Maxwell House, expertly blended and radiant roasted for rich, mellow, extra flavor. Maxwell House, the coffee that's always good to the last drop. Have last month's bills arrived at your house yet? Or does your husband still speak to you? When I dropped by the Burns house this morning, Gracie was wondering how to break the bad news to George.
Oh, Bill, I'll have to get George in an awfully good humor before I let him see these Christmas bills. How can I do it?
Well, let's see. Well, hey, wearing one of those slinky lace negligees ought to please George.
Oh, no, he'd look terrible in it.
Gracie, I meant for you to wear it, not George. Put the bills on the table and stand beside him in your negligee.
It'll never work, Bill. We've been married too long.
What do you mean?
Well, he'll notice the way the bills are stacked, not me.
Oh, you're wrong, Gracie. If George has got an ounce of blood in his veins, he'll... Yeah, I see what you mean.
Well, I guess there's just no way that a wife can present her husband with a bill and make him like it.
Not true, Gracie. My mother did it, and Father was happy as a lark.
Well, she must have presented him with an awfully little bill.
No, I weighed 8.5 pounds.
You know the kind of bills I mean. Now, come on, help me think of something.
Well, maybe you could put George in a good humor by fixing his favorite food.
That's right. The way to his heart is through his chest.
No, it's through his stomach. You slipped up.
It's through his chest. That slipped down.
Well, anyway, Gracie, what does the little man like to eat?
Well, he adores hot biscuits. You know, he's still got the first biscuit I made after we were married.
Really? He saves funny things.
Yes. He's also got the first tooth he lost after we were married.
Why does he save the tooth?
He can't get it out of the biscuit.
I see.
Of course, I can make wonderful biscuits now. George just drools when... Say, I've got a great idea. I'll fold the bills up real small and bake them inside the biscuits.
Oh, then when he takes a bite, he'll discover the bill.
Right. With a mouthful of biscuit, he won't be able to scream so loud.
Well, it's a screwy idea, Gracie, but it might work.
Oh, anything to soften the blow for my darling George.
You really love that little schnook, don't you, Gracie?
Oh, yes, Bill. When they made George, they broke the mold.
Well, better late than never. So long, Gracie. I hope your plan works.
The biscuits are done. Now, let's see. This one has the May Company bill in it. This one has a Saks bill. This one is the Broadway. And this one... Oh, here comes George. I better soften him up with a little flattery before lunch.
Hello, Gracie.
Oh, Georgie boy, you're home from school.
From school?
Oh, forgive me, dear. You look so young, I always think of you as going to high school.
I don't look like I go to high school. College, maybe.
Ah, your handsome face is ageless. Your noble brow, your classic features. They look like they belong on a Greek statue.
Gracie.
Sometimes I'd swear your head was made of marble.
Well, old Marblehead is hungry. Hey, you got biscuits.
Yeah, try one.
Okay. Boy, that was good.
You swallowed the whole thing?
Well, yeah.
Well, that takes care of the May Company.
Huh?
They can't send a collector after that one.
What are you talking
Oh,
about?
nothing. Here, try the Broadway. I mean, have another biscuit.
I'll break this open and put some butter on. There's a piece of paper in here.
Uh-huh. There's one in each of the biscuits.
Oh, I get it. Like the Chinese tea rooms. My fortune is in these biscuits.
You're so right.
Well, I'll open all of them.
Yes, dear, and I'll run get you the ice bag.
Ice bag? I feel fine. I don't need any ice bag. Just pass me those biscuits.
How does the ice bag feel, darling?
Okay.
Here, I buttered some more aspirin for you.
You buttered the aspirin?
Well, as long as you were eating it like popcorn, I thought I might as well butter it.
Gracie, look at that stack of bills. How could you buy that many Christmas presents? Where did you find them?
Oh, I just opened up my charge account, and there they were.
And you figured I'd
You
pay for
them,
all of them.
yeah.
I got the bills are in my mouth. Yes, that paper. Well, you're out of luck. I'm going to stop being the goose that lays the golden eggs.
You mean you're going to stop telling jokes on the radio?
Never mind. Now listen to me, young lady. I'm going to tell you a thing or two. From now on.
Hello.
Oh, hello, Meredith.
Meredith, what would you do if the person you married spent money like a drunken sailor?
Well, in the first place, I would never marry a drunken sailor.
Meredith.
Though at one time I was quite friendly with a sober wave. She picked me up one night at the Palladium.
She picked you up?
Yes, I fell down while attempting to jitterbug, and she picked me up.
Yes. Meredith, I want you to hear.
Well, one thing led to another, and before I knew it, that wave had me in the back seat of a taxi. During the war, I was a sucker for a uniform.
Oh, Meredith, you didn't even know her.
I know, Gracie, but I felt that I should be kind to her. After all, she'd been fighting for me.
Look, Meredith.
But no sooner were we alone than she became quite amorous. Oh, she wasn't to blame. I was attractive, and she'd been at sea for a long time.
Meredith, when you came in, I asked you one simple question. All I want you to do is answer that.
Gladly, George. Would you state the question again?
What would you do if the person you married spent money like a drunken sailor?
Well, in the first place, I would never marry a drunken sailor.
Look, Meredith.
Though at one time I was
goodbye,
quite friendly
Meredith.
with a...
Goodbye. Goodbye, Meredith.
Missouri Waltz. You know, Meredith, that may be 1947, but music like that makes me think that underneath it all, I'm still an old-fashioned guy.
Because you like it? No need to apologize for that, Bill. Liking waltzes has always been in the very best American tradition, and it still is. With old favorites like the Missouri Waltz jingling the jukeboxes today from Seattle to Scranton.
Yes, like sparking your girl on a Saturday night, the waltz has been tested by time and never found wanting. Grandfather was swinging his partner in waltz time when bustles and high-button shoes were the height of fashion. And 100 years from now, you can bet that the waltz will still be expressing the romance and sentimental gaiety that have always belonged to our American scene. Makes me think how Maxwell House coffee truly belongs to the American scene, too. Here in America, we've actually made coffee a national drink. And more people buy and enjoy Maxwell House than any other brand of coffee at any price. It's Maxwell House wherever you go. Flavor explains this nationwide preference. The rich, full-bodied Maxwell House flavor that results from the masterful blending of these premium Latin American coffees. Manizales for mellowness. Medellins for richness. Other choice coffees for vigor. And Bucaramangas for full body. All adding up to great coffee at the peak of flavorful goodness. Friends, why not know the very best in coffee drinking pleasure? You can for just a fraction of a penny more per cup than you'd pay for the cheapest coffee sold. Just make yours Maxwell House. Always good to the last drop.
Gracie, suppose you start explaining these Christmas bells. Who got this $25 hat?
Oh, I gave that to Clara Bagley. I've decided to break up our friendship.
Then why did you give her an expensive hat?
Well, I have one exactly like it. And when she sees me with it on, then she'll stop speaking to me.
There must be cheaper ways to lose a friend. Here's a bill for a bushel of nuts delivered to San Francisco. Who'd you send those to?
My mother. That was your own suggestion, dear. Every time I said, what'll we send Mother, you said nuts to her.
I should give your mother a bushel of nuts. What'd she ever give me?
She gave you me. I'm as good as at nuts.
You can say that again.
I'd rather not. I didn't like the way it sounded.
And you got this chromium chair with the plastic seat for who?
Oh, my brother Willie. He's building his own house with a GI loan, and he's crazy about antique furniture.
A chromium and plastic chair isn't antique.
It will be by the time the house is built.
How about this necklace? Who got that?
My sister Bessie. She needed it to hide her appendicitis scar.
On her neck? And appendicitis scars on the stomach.
I know, but Bessie was so ticklish, they
They had to operate up. Yes, I see what you mean. You made that up.
Well, I was just trying to amuse you.
Well, I'm not amused. Those relatives of yours, they're costing me a fortune. Here's a bill for a pair of earrings.
Oh, well, now, don't scream about those, George. I bought those for one of your relatives.
Who?
Your wife.
I might have known. What do you expect me to do about these bills?
Write out checks for them. Here's the special fountain pen you use for paying bills.
Special fountain pen for paying bills?
Yes, it writes under protest.
Well, I got news for you, kid. I can't pay these bills.
Why not?
Because there's not enough money in the bank.
Oh, don't be silly. It says right on the window of the bank there's over $12 million in there.
I mean, there's not enough money in my account. And if you overdraw your account, you can be put in jail.
Oh, dear. Well, don't you worry. I'll figure out some way to settle those bills. everything is fine. The Christmas bills are paid.
Really? What did you do?
I used my head. You said the bank could put you in jail if you overdraw your account.
That's right.
So I wrote the checks myself.
What?
Well, they can't put me in jail. I haven't got an account there.
Oh, no. Gracie, it's even worse to write checks when you have no account at all. Now they'll put you in jail.
You mean I'm a juvenile delinquent?
You'll be worse unless you get those checks back.
But the checks are in the mail.
Well, then you're just out of luck.
Oh, look, here comes the postman. He can save me. He can get those checks out of the mail.
Good afternoon, Mrs. Burns. Here's your mail.
Oh, Mr. Postman, I'm in terrible trouble, and you're the one who can help me.
Oh, I love to help damsels in distress. Just as Sir Galahad rescued Guinevere from the dragon, I will rescue you. Is your husband a dragon?
A little, but he's tired.
Yes. How can I help you, Mrs. Burns?
Well, by mistake, I put some bad checks in the mail, and I want you to get them for me.
Oh, I dare not tamper with the mail.
But, Mr. Postman, if I don't get those checks back, I'll go to jail. What if your wife were in a spot like this? You wouldn't let her go to jail?
You say such humorous things, Mrs. Burns.
Oh, please, can't you think of some way I can get those checks?
Your only chance is to stop them when they come through the bank.
Oh, well, do you know anyone who works at the bank?
Not now. My wife Bertha worked in the escrow department when I married her. Now I guess they just call it the S department.
Why?
I took away the crow.
Mr. Postman, that gives me an idea. I'll go down and get a job at the bank myself, and then I can grab those checks when they come through.
Well, good luck, Mrs. Burns, and remember, keep smiling.
How do you do? Are you Mr. Vanderlip, the president of this bank?
I am.
Well, I wonder if you'd do something for me.
I suppose you'd like me to authorize you a loan.
I would not. Just because I'm alone, don't think you can authorize me.
Madam.
Do I look like the sort of a girl who can be authorized?
But I didn't
And
have...
you won't. I didn't come in here to be insulted
But
or authorized.
believe me, I meant no harm. What is the nature of your business?
Oh, well, I'd like a job in your bank.
I see. In what department?
How about the check room?
Check room?
I want to get my hands on some checks. I mean, I like to handle checks.
At what bank were you previously employed? Naturally, I can check your record at any bank in the United States.
I worked at the Bank of England.
The Bank of England?
Pip, pip.
Were you a teller?
Not me. I jolly well kept my mouth shut.
Madam, I do not believe you were employed by the Bank of England.
You don't, huh? Well, just ask me some banking questions.
Very well. What would you do in the case of an overdraft?
Close the transom. Next question.
Suppose we cease this masquerade. You obviously know nothing whatever about banking.
Then I don't get the job?
No.
In that case, put up your hands.
What?
This is a holdup.
You have no gun.
Oh. Well, let's get back to the job.
Look, I'm a busy man. What is this all about?
Well, I've got to recover some checks I wrote on this bank. You see, I haven't got an account here, and my husband says I'll go to jail.
And so you will, unless something is done. Perhaps I could authorize you a loan.
There you go again.
Madam.
When you get a girl alone, that's all you think about, authorize.
Madam.
And it's your age.
Madam. Please.
Never. I'd rather go to jail. Goodbye, you old authorizer, you.
No. familiar melodies on the American scene. Among my souvenirs, Meredith Willson and his music.
Now, let me get this straight, Mr. Burns. You want to take all the money out of your bank account and open one for your wife.
Yes. Then those checks she wrote were clear. That is, if you'll lend me $100 to go with it.
Oh, glad to lend you $100. How about collateral?
Why, Mr. Vanderlip, I've never needed collateral. I've gotten where I am today on my face.
I believe you. Shows considerable wear and tear.
Well, all I need is $100. I'll pay you back right away. Why, a man like me can make $100 in no time.
I'm sorry, Mr. Burns.
Oh, Mr. Vanderlip.
Yes, Mr. Goodwin.
Oh, hello, Bill. Say, Bill, tell Mr. Vanderlip how quick I can make $100.
Oh, no time at all, Mr. Vanderlip. His next birthday ought to do it.
Oh, fine.
Mr. Vanderlip, I'm about to make a withdrawal from my safe deposit box. May I have the usual 3 armed guards?
Of course, Mr. Goodwin.
Gee, Bill, you must have a fortune in that box.
Oh, I have.
Could you lend me a little?
Oh, sure, George. All you want. All right, guards, put the box down right here.
Boy.
I'll open it. There. Now, George, how many pounds do you want?
Pounds? Bill, what have you got in there?
Maxwell House coffee, of course. What do you think I'd keep in a safe deposit box? Junk like diamonds and money?
Well, I made
Maxwell House is rich, delicious, mellow. The result of careful selection and blending of choice Latin American coffees, radiant roasted to perfection. More people buy and enjoy Maxwell House than any other brand of coffee in the world.
But, Bill, what I need is money.
George, what good is money? Can money buy happiness? No. Can money buy contentment? No. Can money buy a new car?
No.
No.
But it can keep Gracie out of jail.
Out of jail?
Yeah, she wrote some bad checks, and unless I deposit some money for her, she'll go to jail. So you can see why I need more than coffee.
Oh, you're not kidding. You need donuts, too.
Huh?
If Gracie goes to jail, you're going to starve.
Bill, I don't need any donuts.
Oh, you're right, George. Yes, Maxwell House is delicious all by itself. Why, it's the very best in coffee drinking pleasure, yet it costs but a fraction of a penny more per cup than the cheapest coffee you can buy. That's why so many millions of Americans insist on Maxwell House. These days, they know today's coffee buy is Maxwell House, the coffee that's always good to the last drop.
Well, okay, if you don't want to lend me the money.
I'll lend you the money. Here, help yourself. Take all you want.
Gee, thanks, Bill. Now Gracie won't have to go to jail.
Good.
Hey, Just to teach her not to sign her name to any more checks. I'll let her think she is going to jail.
Well, George, that's cruel and inhuman.
Well, it's just to scare her. After she's learned her lesson, I'll take her in my arms and give her a big kiss.
But, George, that's cruel and inhuman.
So long, comic.
So long.
So that's it, Gracie. You've broken the law, and now you must pay the penalty. Pretty soon a detective will come and get you.
Oh, I hope it's Humphrey Bogart.
I mean a real policeman. And then you'll have to go down and appear with the district attorney.
Wonderful. I've always wanted to be on that program.
Gracie, you're not taking this seriously. There'll be a trial with the judge and the jury, and you on the witness stand. Do you realize what it means to be cross-examined?
Oh, sure. I cross my legs and the jury examines them.
Gracie, stop joking about this. You know where you'll wind up? Tehachapi.
Gesundheit.
I didn't sneeze. I said Tehachapi.
To what you be?
Tehachapi. That's where women go who make mistakes.
Oh, I thought they went to Reno.
Gracie, Tehachapi is a woman's prison. And take it from me, that's where you're headed.
Are you serious, George? Am I really going to prison?
You bet. When you commit a crime, they send you up the river.
Oh, but it was such a small crime. Couldn't they just send me up the creek?
No.
Well, how long will they keep me there, George?
About 30 years.
30 years? My goodness, when I get out, I'll be in my 40s.
Yeah, easily.
Well, you'll come see me on Visitor's Day, won't you?
Every Thursday.
Oh, well, I'll look forward to those moments. I'll put my hands through the bars and run my fingers through your hair.
Yeah.
Let it grow long and hide a file in it.
Nothing doing. You'll stay there. And I hope it teaches you never to sign your name to another check as long as you live.
Oh, it will, George. 30 years in prison.
Yep. Tehachapi.
Gesundheit. Oh, that's where I'm going. Well, there are a few last things I want to do before they take me away. Wait here for me, sweetheart.
Okay. Poor kid. I'm really teaching her a lesson.
Well, I'm back, dear. All my errands are done.
Hey, what's in those packages?
Well, you said I was going to prison, and they wear nothing but stripes there. So I went to Magnum's and got a lovely striped suit and striped dresses and striped bags.
Gracie, you didn't.
Well, sure, so I'd look my best. If I must go to prison, I don't want to disgrace you.
Gracie.
I'll be the belle of the cell.
How did you pay for those things?
With a check?
But you promised you'd never sign your name to another check. You said you'd learned your lesson.
I did learn my lesson. This time I signed your name.
Oh, no.
Join us again next week when we'll all be back. George Burns, Gracie Allen, Meredith Wilson and his orchestra, yours truly, Bill Goodwin. The George Burns and Gracie Allen Show is written by Paul Henning and Keith Fowler. Until next Thursday, good night and good luck from the makers of Maxwell House, America's #1 preferred brand of coffee.
Always good to the last drop.
Well, Gracie, now you've really done it. Signing my name was forgery.
Is that bad?
You're just heading in one direction, kid. Tehachapi.
Gesundheit.
Gesundheit, I knew that. Good night, everybody. I thought.
And now stay tuned in for Noah Webster Says, which follows immediately over most of these stations.
Log cabin syrup for that old-time flavor. For log cabin syrup does your pancakes a favor. delicate blend of maple and cane. Serve it once, you'll want it again and again.
You bet you will.
What a wonderful breakfast thrill is log cabin syrup in the morning.
Yes, Log Cabin is America's most popular maple blended syrup. With Sugar Short, the supply is limited, but you'll never get it if you never ask for it.
Log cabin syrup in the morning.
This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.
That was the Burns and Allen Show with the episode titled Last Year's Christmas Bills, as originally heard January 9th, 1947. We have reached the halfway point, but don't worry, we have The Lone Ranger coming up next when Classic Radio Rewind returns after this short break, so stick around. Welcome back to Classic Radio Rewind. I'm Barry Slinker, and coming up next is The Lone Ranger starring Brace Beemer. This series is one of the oldest and arguably one of the most well-known radio series ever. According to the backstory, the ruthless Butch Cavendish lured 6 Texas Rangers into Bryant's Gap, where they were ambushed and murdered in cold blood. Tonto, examining the bodies by moonlight, discovered one Ranger still alive. After burying the 5 lawmen and being asked to dig and mark an empty 6th grave, he nursed the wounded Ranger back to health. As the sole survivor of the ambush, Tonto dubbed him the Lone Ranger. The radio series continued through the spring of 1956 and successfully transitioned to television. In this episode, even though the Lorimers and the Farrells are feuding, the younger generation is very much in love. When the elder Lorimer is shot, young Farrell is framed for the crime. From May 7th, 1941, this is The Lone Ranger with Spring Roundup.
A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hearty Hi-Yo Silver, the Lone Ranger. The open range made Wyoming a cattleman's paradise in the early days of the western United States. But as the northern herds grew and the ranchers prospered, they were attacked by bands of outlaws that roamed the new territory. It was the masked rider of the plains, more than any other man, who put an end to rustling and range wars. And without his strength and courage, his daring and resourcefulness, the winning of the West might never have been accomplished. Return with us now to those thrilling days of yesteryear. From out of the past come the thundering hoofbeats of his great horse, Silver. The Lone Ranger rides again.
Come on, Silver. We're heading for the open range. Tonto's waiting for us. I know Silver. Away!
The range was bordered on the north by a heavily wooded slope. Beyond this, a sheer wall of rock, white, black, and brilliant red, towered for hundreds of feet. The wall was cut in 3 places by canyons that climbed to the tableland above. A tall, broad-shouldered masked man and an Indian stood at the very edge of the cliff with one of the canyons on their right. They looked beyond the trees toward the plain. 2 groups of buildings, miles apart, and here and there, herds of red and white cattle were all that broke the green expanse below them.
From here, the range looks absolutely flat, Tonto.
That's not true.
I know. It's cut by streams and arroyos, and there are even hills. That's the Lorimer Ranch to the right.
Circle dot.
Yes, and Bill Farrell's Diamond F spread to the left.
Why them 2 fight?
I don't believe either of them could remember how the feud started. It was so many years ago, but they've never let it die. There's only Bill Farrell and his son left on one side, and John Lorimer and his daughter on the other.
You tell them what we find out?
Not yet, Tonto. John Lorimer might shoot the boy on sight. I'm afraid there'll be enough trouble before the spring roundup is over.
Maybe what we know put end to trouble.
Yeah, the girl and the boy don't seem to think so, and I believe they're right. In a way, it's easy to understand why there's been so much fighting. This is open range, and the cattle from both ranches run together. There are bound to be a lot of arguments when the time comes to brand the calves and cut out the market herds. One thing leads to another, and the tempers of the men become as hot as their branding irons.
Kimasabi.
Yes, Tonto?
You look over here. Down canyon.
The Lorimer girl and Greg Farrell.
Them right up here.
Here, Silver.
Here, Scout. And what we do now?
We don't want to be seen until we're needed. We'll take one of the other canyons down and make camp in the pines.
That good?
Yep. But there's one thing I'm sure of, Tonto.
What, that?
We will be needed. Come on, Silver.
Get him up, Scout.
It's getting late, Bee. I think we'd better turn back.
Oh, I never want to turn back.
You leave your paw?
No, I'd be all alone. Wait, it is getting late. Round boy. Easy. Get up. This'll be the last time I can see you before the roundup starts.
Why?
I'm afraid of Chick. He's been watching me.
He's only your paw's foreman. He can't tell you what to do.
Well, he might follow me. If he knew that I'd been meeting you, he'd tell Pa.
I ought to tell him right now.
No, Greg. There's been enough killing in our families. I love you, but I love Pa, too. I don't want anything to happen to either of you.
You said until the roundup started.
That's only a few days.
But after it starts, we won't be able to see you at all. I'll be out on the range, working day and night. I'm the wrangler for our outfit. What's funny?
We're short-handed, and I'm going to be the wrangler for the Circle Dot.
What?
Yep. Paul gave me his word last night. I'll take charge of our horses all during the roundup.
Who ever heard of a girl handling a cavvy?
You for one, and Paul for another.
What's he thinking of?
He's thinking there's no better hand with horses in the whole state.
Yeah, I've got something to say about this.
Oh, no, you haven't. Of course, it's only because we're short of men, but think what it'll mean to us. We'll see each other every day.
Not very close. You've never been out on the range during one of our roundups. Your pa's men and our boys work together all day long, but our camps are a half a mile apart. We don't mix any more than we have to.
We'll manage, Greg. Just leave it to me.
What the?
Oh.
You saw him, too.
Man on a sorrel. Just rode into the trees.
Yeah.
Chick rides the sorrel.
Oh, now, don't worry about him.
How can I help it? Just when we're planning ahead, something always reminds us. Our secret isn't safe, and if they ever find out, we aren't safe either.
Bee.
Pa would kill you. Your pa would kill mine. Oh, Greg, I'm afraid.
Three days later, the roundup started. This was a period of truce on the range, but the hard feeling between the two outfits put every man on his mettle, and the work went fast. One evening, Chick watched Bee drive the horses for the night crew into the rope corral near the chuck wagon. Then he turned on his heel and walked toward John Lorimer. The rancher was sitting apart from his men, checking the day's figures by the light of a lantern.
Mr. Lorimer.
Hello, Chick. 101 circle dot calves branded today. Only 78 diamond F.
I figured it about like that.
What's on your mind?
Well, you were running this outfit. I'm more of a segundo than a foreman. But I got a suggestion to make.
Go ahead.
I think you ought to send Miss Lorimer back to the ranch.
Why?
Now, don't get sore. She's been doing a good job for a girl. But after all, she is a girl. And she's mighty pretty.
What's that?
I've been keeping an eye on her. I've been watching everybody that's come close to her.
There's been nobody but our boys.
That's where you're wrong.
Name him.
Now, take it easy, boss. Maybe it don't amount to much. Maybe he was just giving her some advice.
Who are you talking about?
Greg Farrell.
He talked with my daughter?
I saw him leave his cabin and ride over to her. Must have talked with her for 5 or 10 minutes.
You should have come to me right then.
But you were riding a big circle.
Me?
I'm coming, Pa.
I'll mosey over by the fire.
You stay where you are. We'll get to the bottom of this.
Anything wrong?
Has anybody been annoying you?
What?
Was Greg Farrell talking to you today?
Well, we were driving our cabbies pretty close once. He did ride over once and asked me where I was heading.
Going blind all of a sudden, huh?
There was nothing wrong with that.
I'll decide what's wrong and what's right around here.
But, Pa...
Miss Lorimer.
Well, that's Bill Farrell just rode in.
Good. I'll have a few words to tell him about that no-good son of his.
It was nothing, Pa.
Lorimer, I got a complaint to make.
That goes double, Farrell.
One of my boys will ride the bed wagon for a week just because you got a yellow polecat for a foreman.
What?
I mean you, Chick.
Go for your gun.
Hold your fire. You can have your say, Farrell. When you're finished, I'll start.
One of your steers was bogged down. Sure, he got him out. But just as soon as the pesky moss horn was free, he charged the boy. Chick was right there. He could have rid him off.
It was Shorty's fault.
His line was tangled, you could see that. But you were too scared of your ornery hide to help him.
Nobody can say I was
you
scared
did
of...
wrong to stand by, Chick.
What? You back in his play?
Nobody likes a man that's too careful. I'm sorry to hear it about you.
Yeah. Well,
It's too bad that Shorty was hurt, Farrell. But there's nothing I can do about it now.
You can let this mangy coyote go for his gun.
I'll be going for my own gun if you don't keep that son of yours away from my daughter.
What's that?
He's been annoying her.
That isn't true.
And the next time he tries it, I'll fill him full of lead.
If I ever thought he was wasting his time with a Lorimer, I'd do the same thing myself.
He ain't fit for my girl to wipe her boots on.
Lorimer, you're talking like you're tired of living.
It sure gets tiresome with Farrells around.
Oh.
Get out of my way, girl.
No. There'll be no shooting on my account. If you want the truth, I called Greg over.
You hear that, Lorimer?
She's lying to save your skin.
It's the truth, Pa. I wasn't sure where to ford the creek. He told me. That's all there was to it.
You're going back to the ranch.
All right. Anything you say, but please
Get out
don't...
of here, Farrell.
I aimed. We'll settle this after the roundup's over. Get up there. Get up.
Me.
Yes, Pa.
And you, Chick.
Yeah?
I hope you both know how I feel about this. I got a daughter and a foreman I'm ashamed of.
Blackie.
That's you, Chick?
Yeah. Sure dark in these pines.
You're late.
Oh. I had to wait until the camp was asleep.
Well, how about it? Has the old man found out about those steers that ran off yet?
He can't check until the roundup's over.
Well, what do you want me and the boys to hang around here for?
Where are you?
You go up to the canyon, then cut to the east until you hit the trail from town. We're camped in a grove of trees. It's a good cover, about 10 miles.
You won't have to stay there long.
Why should we stay at all? There's no chance for any rustling with both crews out on the range night and day.
I'll be fired after the roundup, Blackie.
You will?
If John Lorimer lives, I will.
What do you mean by that?
Listen, we know that Greg and the girl are sweet on each other. They've been meeting whenever they could.
Yeah.
Well, if Lorimer was to find them...
Now, wait a minute. You want the old man out of the way, not the kid. Kid wouldn't go for his gun.
And if he wouldn't, then the old man wouldn't either.
I don't get it.
Blackie, the old man wouldn't have to find them together.
Well, if he didn't find
Let
them...
me finish. All the boys in camp knew he was starting out after Greg, and he didn't come back.
Then the kid would be blamed.
Yeah. Even if you did the killing.
Me?
You wouldn't be taking any chance.
What do I get out of it?
Half the circled out ranch.
The ranch goes to the girl after the old man dies.
Well, I could marry her, couldn't I?
You haven't got a chance.
Oh, I don't know about that.
I do. And I'm not killing anybody just so you can hold your job. There's only one...
What?
Sure, that's it. If we held the evidence that it convict Greg of murder, she'd marry you to save him.
Any more ideas?
Oh, you like that one, don't you?
Sounds good if we can work it out. Hey, where'd that come from?
Horses, by the opening of the canyon. Follow me. Leave your own horse here.
That's where they used to meet.
We can see in a minute.
Don't show yourself.
Don't worry. Quiet now.
Yeah. Sounds like them.
If only it's something that belonged to the kid.
You have?
Hmm?
Here.
What is it?
It's a piece of that fancy silver trimming from his bridle. It fell off one day, just about where he's standing right now. I was watching the two of them, and after they rode away, I picked this up.
That's all we need. Pretend to pick it up when you get back.
When'll that be?
Head for camp. Tell Lorimer they're up here.
Yeah?
Then stay at the camp until you hear 3 shots.
But I thought we didn't want him to find them.
He'll be gone.
And, you'll be waiting.
That's it, Chick. I'll be waiting.
Tonto.
Tonto here.
3 shots. That means trouble. Here, Silver.
Here, Scout.
They came from the canyon.
That's right. You hear, man, too?
Yes, Tonto. Come on, Silver.
Get him up, Scout.
And there he is, lying on the ground.
Him big man.
It's Lorimer, and he's been shot in the back.
What you think?
And neither Greg nor his father would shoot a man in the back. But if he's found like this, Lorimer's men won't ask questions. They'll go for their guns.
Men come from camp now.
There'll be men from both camps. Wait.
What matter?
He isn't dead. The bullet missed his heart. Take a look.
Maybe we save him.
We'll get him on Scout.
Here, Scout.
You'd better mount first, Tonto. Now.
Tonto got him.
Take him back to our camp and do everything you can. I'll see they don't follow you.
One horse come fast now.
Hurry.
Get him up, Scout.
Yep. Come on, Silver.
Hi-yo, Silver! Hooray!
The curtain falls on the first act of our Lone Ranger story. Before the next exciting scenes, please permit us to pause for just a few moments. Now to continue our story. The Lone Ranger realized that if Lorimer were found shot in the back, a gunfight would follow between the rancher's men and Farrell's crew. He ordered Tonto to carry Lorimer to their camp and then raced up the canyon. A moment later, Greg Farrell reined up beside the riderless horse that had been left behind.
Here, boy. Steady. That's Lorimer's black. Where is he? What's happened to him?
Lorimer!
He must have heard the shots in the camp, too, heading this way. They find me with this horse, they'll think... I better get out of here. Let's go, boy.
The shot came from the canyon. Straight ahead. Could be one of the crew up this far. Lorimer rode up here. Lorimer? What are you talking about? I'll tell you when I see what's happened. Look, that's his horse.
Back to camp, men. If it's only Lorimer in trouble, let his own crew take charge of it.
Trying to get away, huh?
That's so you can notice it. We just ain't interested.
You'll be interested in this. I sent Lorimer up here myself.
You said that before.
But I didn't tell you why.
Don't waste any more of my time.
I saw your son and his girl together.
That's a lie.
Greg wasn't in camp when you heard the shots, was he?
He's with the horses.
What's this about me?
Ask him yourself. He can't deny it.
Were you up here with that Lorimer girl?
Haven't you got off that subject yet?
Answer me.
We'll talk about it later. Right now, we gotta find out what happened to Lorimer.
It isn't our business.
My hunch is that Greg fired those shots.
You're crazy.
Midnight. That's Paul's horse. Where's Paul?
Why, we don't know, Miss Lorimer.
Well, what are you all standing around here for? Why don't you do something? Find him.
We aim to.
You're riding back to camp with me, Greg. I never thought this son of mine could be fool enough
Careful, Paul. Before you say anything you'll be sorry for, I warn you that...
Paul's right, Greg. We don't want your help and we don't need it. You and the whole Diamond F crew can clear out right away.
Come on, men. Dig your spurs into that horse, Greg, or I'll use my quirt on him.
Get boy.
All right, Chick. You're foreman. What are we going to do? Where are we going to start looking?
Well, that's just what I was going... wait. Listen. That come from the canyon.
It wasn't Paul's voice.
You'll never find me.
It's outlaws. They took him prisoner.
It wasn't an outlaw that fired those shots.
Don't argue. We've got to catch that man up there. Are you with me, boys?
No, yeah.
Stay here if you want to, Chick.
Oh, I'll take the lead. Get up there, Red. Get up. Come
Hold up there.
We're at the top of the canyon. Which way do we go now?
I'm putting you in charge of the boys, Spur. Head for the Badlands to the west.
Right, boss.
Aren't you coming with us?
You and me are riding into town.
What for?
Get moving, Spur.
All right. Come on,
I'm going with them.
No, you're not.
Let go my bridle.
You're coming into town with me, Miss Lorimer. I want to show you something I found in the ground down below.
What is it?
A piece of silver.
It looks like...
Yeah. Looks like the fancy trimming on Greg's bridle. It doesn't only look like it. It is. I found it down there beside your father's horse.
What of it? Greg was there. It fell off.
Mm-hmm. I found it before Greg showed up.
But he was there before.
Sure he was.
I met him there about 2 hours ago. Give it to me.
No, ma'am. This is evidence.
What are you talking about?
I got a hunch that when we find your paw, he'll be dead.
No.
He didn't fire those shots. Somebody else did. And one of them killed him.
I won't believe it.
Greg killed him.
He wouldn't. He promised me.
So he promised you. Well, I'm all ready to tell the sheriff my story, turn this evidence over to him, and let him arrest Greg.
Wait, Chick.
For what?
Wait until we find Paul. You're wrong. I know you are.
You don't look very sure to me.
What reason would Greg have?
I sent your paw up to catch him.
You were spying on
It
him.
wasn't the first time. You got just one chance to save Greg from the law.
He doesn't need to be saved.
Marry me, and I won't say a word.
Marry you?
They'll hang him.
I can't marry you.
You mean you won't? This is so sudden now.
Chick, you aren't sure that Paul's dead. You can't be unless...
I was in camp.
You know he's been killed. You were behind it. I'll go to the sheriff myself.
If we go to the sheriff, Greg will hang. Now, come on.
Where?
Not to town yet. I'm taking you someplace where you'll be safe, where you can think it over.
I've already told you.
You'll have until tomorrow morning. Then we either go to the sheriff's or the justice of the peace. Get up there, Red.
Let go.
Get up there.
Kimasabi.
How's Lorimer?
Him sleep now. Him better.
Do you think he could stand the ride? Now, that's fine. As soon as I've gone, you and he ride scout up the canyon. Head for town. You'll find a woods to the right of the trail. Take cover and wait for me.
Oh, Tonto, do it.
You'll have to be careful. There's a band of outlaws camped there, so don't get too close.
You find camp tonight?
I've just come from there. And while I was watching, Chick and the Lorimer girl rode to the camp.
Them look for Lorimer?
Well, that's what I thought at first. I thought they'd only stumbled on it. But Chick knew the men, and they're holding the girl a prisoner.
Chick, bad feller.
It looks that way now. I couldn't hear much of what they said, but he has some proof that Greg shot Lorimer.
Oh, that's not true. Lorimer not die. Him see feller right away.
He told you that?
Yeah.
And it wasn't Greg?
Him say man with scar.
One of the outlaws.
Maybe so.
I saw him, Tonto. I saw the man with the scar.
That good.
Before the night's over, we'll have that gang rounded up, and we'll put an end to the feud between the Lorimers and the Farrells. Tonto, on the way to camp, tell Lorimer all you know about his daughter and Greg.
It time now?
It's time, but remember this. When you get to the woods, don't make a move until I get there.
Oh, Tonto, wait.
Bill Farrell and his men are going to rescue Lorimer's daughter. I want Lorimer to see it. I'm going after them right now.
Maybe them say no.
No, they can't. It's a girl's life that's in danger now. Come on, Silver. Hi-yo, Silver! Away!
Roll out of your blankets, men, and grab your guns. Somebody riding this way.
Maybe they found Lorimer. We should have helped.
There's plenty of coyotes in the west. We can afford to lose a few.
Did you hear that? That's the same voice we heard up in the canyon.
He's got a lot of nerve riding into our camp.
Called his horse Silver.
Yeah.
Don't shoot until you get a good look at it.
There's only one way to treat an outlaw.
Paul!
What'd you grab my arm for?
This man's a Lone Ranger, Paul.
I thought you'd remember me, Greg.
Lone Ranger?
How could I forget, mister? It was on the day...
Don't say anything about that just yet. I want a word with your father.
Sure thing.
You have a reputation for a bad temper, Farrell, but no one's ever questioned your courage.
Eh?
If you knew that a girl was held and being captured by a band of outlaws, what would you do?
You! I'd go after the polecats and wipe them off the face of the earth.
Even if the girl were John Lorimer's daughter?
What's that?
Steady, Greg. I want your father's answer.
It wouldn't make no difference. What are you trying to tell us?
But if you want to save her, you'd better follow me.
You heard him, men. Into your saddles.
Come on, Silver.
I've got to help that girl.
No, you stay here.
But that's my daughter. You can see her face. She's crying.
Let him not hurt her.
I'd like to get my hands on Chick's neck.
You not make sound.
What is it?
Somebody come.
Kimosabe.
It's the Lone Ranger.
Ah.
We're all ready to close in.
Hey, did you bring my boys with you?
They weren't in their camp. I brought the Diamond F crew.
The Diamond
Never
F?
mind that now. You're going to stay right here, Lorimer.
Hey, can't I?
You're wounded. It would be dangerous for you to move fast. And that's one reason for your staying here, but there's another.
Huh?
I want you to see everything that happens without being seen. You'll stay here until I call for you.
Well, if that's the way you want it.
Tonto, give me a chance to get to that big pine, and then the hoot of the owl. You understand?
No, that signal.
The signal for the attack. Close in, men.
We're surrounded. Let him have it.
Drop your gun.
I'll kill you full of lead. Oh, my hand. Don't shoot anymore. You got them. They're throwing down their guns.
Greg, I'd given up hope.
You're all right now, honey.
Good work, masked man. Tie 'em up, boys.
Sure glad you got here when you did, Farrell. I just found out they were crooks.
Just found out. You think you can get away with that?
He hasn't a chance, Miss Lorimer.
If they turn us over to the law, Chick, you're going to jail, too.
You're all going to jail.
You better put in a good word for me, Miss Lorimer. You too, Farrell. I got proof that Greg shot the old man.
Greg, you didn't.
Of course not.
I got proof.
Let's see it.
It's only a piece of silver from your bridle. He's trying to frame you.
We'll see what the sheriff says.
You're right. My guess is that you and Blackie will be charged with murder.
Not me.
You and Chick. There was a witness to the shooting, Blackie.
There wasn't.
How do you know?
What?
How do you know there wasn't a witness?
Well,
You fool!
That clinches it. You don't have to admit it because there was a witness. Lorimer, come here.
Pa, you mean he isn't dead?
Badly wounded, but that's all.
Thank heaven. Where is he? Pa!
I'm right here, Bee. And you walk slow.
Pa!
Slow.
Pa!
Yeah, none of that.
I'm so happy.
Is this the man who shot you, Lorimer?
That's him.
You're sure?
I couldn't miss that scar. He rode up close before he hightailed it.
Hank hired me to do the job.
Shut up.
I told you that if I went to jail, you would, too. Well, that goes for hanging. Why'd you bring that girl there? Why'd you have to go?
You'll have plenty of time to argue that out in town. Get them started.
I'm here.
They can manage without you, Farrell. I think Lorimer has something to tell you.
That's right, Bill.
If it's thanks, you can forget him. I'd have done the same for any woman. And it ain't Bee's fault that her paw's no good.
Oh, remember, you're wounded.
He can't make me sore anymore. His bark's a lot worse than his bite.
You'll find out about that when you get better. Greg, come on, and don't ever let me
Hold
see
on.
you.
I don't care how you talk to me, but I don't like you using that tone to my son.
Your son?
That's what I said.
You going plumb loco?
Nope. Bee and Greg are married, Bill. They've been married most a month.
Pa!
The Injun told me, honey. And, Bill, I'm ready to admit that Greg's a fine boy.
Well, gosh. Thanks, Mr. Lorimer.
Make it paw, son.
Sure.
How about it, Bill? Will you shake hands with me and give him your blessing?
I don't want to. Doggone it. Do we get to kiss the bride if I do?
Oh, Greg, if we'd only known they'd take it like this.
They wouldn't have yesterday. It was the Lone Ranger that changed him.
I guess he did. But I'll be dogged if I know how.
Just showed us there's worse hombres in the world than honest ranchers. Even when they're cantankerous and ornery. I'm ready to shake hands, John.
Put her there, partner.
Hi-yo, Silver! Away!
The story you have just heard is a copyrighted feature of the Lone Ranger, Incorporated.
That was The Lone Ranger with Spring Roundup as it originally aired May 7th, 1941. And that brings this week's episode to a close. Before we sign off this week, the WOTR Radio Network has a mobile app that you can take with you on the go. You have access not only to all 4 live streaming stations, but also the last 2 Classic Radio Rewind episodes, our social media pages, and a platform to message me with questions or comments. Just search for the WOTR Radio Network in your appropriate app store. If you haven't already done so, click subscribe in your favorite podcast platform to make sure you get notified of new episodes that are released weekly. If you haven't already done so, click subscribe in your favorite podcast platform to make sure you get notified of new episodes that are released weekly. We will be back next week with more from the Golden Age of Radio. And until then, from Classic Radio Rewind and the WOTR Radio Network, this is Barry Slinker saying goodbye for now.
Classic Radio Rewind is a production of the WOTR Radio Network. For more Classic Radio Rewind and to listen to any of the WOTR Radio Network stations, go to www.wotrradionetwork.com.